Most modern MMOs have their own take on the usual questing, exploring, and dungeon crawling, with player versus player combat as an afterthought. But Crowfall skirts all of that entirely. Instead, it focuses on relatively short PvP campaigns that last for at least 30 days, seasons basically, that are meant to culminate in all-out warfare by the end. If you stick with it that long, you might even experience a siege for a keep or a castle, Crowfall's largest pieces of real estate, and if you're especially lucky, you might even earn enough materials and gold through these sieges to eventually get to build your own realm. However, much like the similarly PvP-centric EVE Online or older games like Dark Age of Camelot, it's unlikely that the average person will ever get to make a dent in that realm-building endgame without joining the most powerful guild on the server or being willing to pay for the privilege. Crowfall's single best feature is its character creator. Among the 12 fantasy races and 11 classes are some genuinely interesting picks, like the giant Stoneborn and the gerbil-esque Ganetians. All of them offer totally unique abilities, and the class system is versatile, allowing you to switch your role on the fly by slotting major and minor disciplines in and out at any time. However, all that choice doesn't always amount to a great experience. Whether you have any fun in Crowfall is determined by how much you're willing to grind. There's an introductory leveling arc from 1 to 30 that encompasses the tutorial, and it's pretty short in practice. The thing MMO fans have to be aware of is that this tutorial is the only place in Crowfall in which you'll find any quests at all. And even then, they only amount to basic run here, do this kind of stuff at best. After that, you can join a faction and run around in the Skypoint zone and casually gank other players. But this is boring since Skypoint is a small zone without much room for any kind of tactical engagements, often leaving you running in circles while you capture the same points and kill the same group of players for loot and gold. A step up from Skypoint is the faction versus faction game mode called The Shadow, which is theoretically more player friendly than the guild versus guild focused endgame, but still ends up falling flat. It's a hurdle to even communicate with your other faction members since you need to go through Crowfall's clunky chat system to figure out where anybody is, and that's if they choose to respond at all. Even if you do manage to coordinate enough support among your faction members, you still need to wait hours or potentially days for the next keep to become available to siege. Given that the rewards for winning a campaign are so meager, it's easy to spin your wheels in the shadow for hours with very little to show for it. As it stands, the real endgame is supposed to begin in Crowfall's guild versus guild area called the Dregs. Again, if you're the kind of MMO player who likes to go solo most of the time, you need not apply. In fact, everything in Crowfall's guild versus guild area is designed to be effectively inaccessible to solo players. But the shift into joining a guild, let alone finding one that's both welcoming and active, is jarring when first ascending out of the unclear and monotonous tutorial section. Okay, so let's assume you've gotten your group together. It still doesn't seem like there's much to do besides rove around the open world and gank smaller groups of players while capturing outposts and attempting to dominate parts of the various disconnected zones located across your server. The only two meaningful alternatives to this are sitting in a circle and harvesting ore and wood for hours to build your guild stockpile, or farming the same boring elite enemies and bosses for loot. That'd be fine if any of those systems were fun to engage with. At least as a melee DPS character, combat here suffers from button mash-itis, where battles often boil down to spamming every attack on your hotbar. Crowfall's battles lack any type of deliberate pacing since the number of classes and abilities in the wild are so varied and unbalanced that there's no real rhyme or reason besides do the most damage and don't die. This is no different than Elder Scrolls Online's combat system in theory, but your attacks don't even need to land in order to do damage. You can simply hold the left mouse button near an enemy and it will eventually die. In Crowfall's best moments, it's slippery, and at worst, it's brain-numbing. Crowfall might have been onto something here with its player versus player focus, but the unfortunate reality is that there's a deep, empty divide between the repetitive tasks that make up the nuts and bolts of what you're actually doing moment to moment, compared to the theoretically much more interesting Eternal Kingdom system and siege events. Those are only really available to hardcore players. Yes, it's possible for a casual group to eventually work their way up to building an empire in Eternal Kingdom or competing over castles in the Dregs, but good luck with that. On paper, you can earn it, but in practice, it'd take weeks of organized effort and grinding in the wilderness for a reasonably sized guild of at least 30 to 40 players to even touch upon the endgame, let alone win a campaign. Sure, you can always join the biggest guild on the server and coast on their success, but that's hardly a great solution considering that the whole appeal of Crowfall in the first place is building up your own guild and guiding it to success. If you want to circumvent that amount of dedication, you can always just disappear into the PvP light Eternal Kingdom, where no faction warfare happens whatsoever, and buy your empire via Crowfall's cash shop. But even purchasing VIP status, which costs at minimum $15 per month at the time of this review, gives you a meager amount of premium currency. It's not much compared to the price of even a single house for your custom kingdom. But at least these zones look great. Crowfall's minimalist art style is colorful and clean, making it simple to parse in the heat of action. The map is difficult to make odds and ends of though, and that makes coordinating with your allies tougher than it should be. On top of that, Crowfall's in-game text chat system is aggressively inconvenient to use, and the built-in voice chat system rarely works at all. If you can, go with Discord or some other app to talk to your friends as you play. Crowfall is a hardcore PvP MMORPG that centers around deep guild and faction building systems, but it doesn't do much to draw in anybody beyond its most loyal and dedicated players. Sure, if you simply want to run around and kill other players while joking around with a group of friends, this is as good a place as any to do that, if you're okay with the clunky interface and similarly clunky combat system. The open-world faction-based PvP systems that it's built around are clearly designed to pull everybody together to contribute toward a broader goal, but there's so much grinding involved that it feels like the most engaging gameplay is reserved for only the most dedicated. For more fantasy games you can play with friends, check out our reviews for The Elder Scrolls Online Blackwood and Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, and for everything else, stick with IGN.